So last week we made a video talking about debt, how to get out of debt, and the differences between good and bad debt. And at the end of that video, I said that I was going to make another video talking about how to actually start to build your wealth with baby steps, specifically the baby steps by Dave Ramsey. So we're going to talk about that in this video. We're going to go over his baby steps and what I think is actually better than Dave Ramsey. So let's talk about that. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out that video that we made last week. It will be very important if you're somebody who has any types of debt, student loan, credit card, anything, all of that will help you. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the baby steps by Dave Ramsey. And the first one, the first baby step is $1,000 in savings. And I completely agree with this. Now, he talks about having $1,000 in a savings account as fast as you possibly can. Screw your debt, screw paying that off as fast as you can, screw investing, take $1,000 and automatically put that into a savings account separate from your checking account, separate from your investing accounts. I 1000% agree with this because you need some sort of buffer. If something happens to you, if your car explodes, if anything happens, you need at least $1,000 to try to stave off, getting arrested or, getting your car impounded or anything like that. You need $1,000. That's extremely important. Now, the second thing is going to be paying off your debt. So paying debt except your mortgage. So he says, pay off everything you possibly can, follow the debt snowball that we made last week, like I said before, and pay everything you possibly can off except for your mortgage. Usually because that is the highest debt that you have. I completely agree with him here. And because I think that you really should never pay off your mortgage, to be quite honest. Obviously over time, but if you have a rate that's, like we said before, less than 7%, especially less than 5% right now, I would not be in a rush to pay off your mortgage. But if it makes you feel better, if it makes you sleep better at night, go ahead and pay it off. It's not personally something that I am looking to do. Now, baby step number 3 is going to be save 3 to 6 months of wages. So let's just say that, actually, instead of wages, let's just say bills. Bills is a better word. So at this point, once you have paid off all of your debt, starting from lowest to highest, which we talked about in that video, you want to save 3 to 6 months worth of rent, bills, mortgage, whatever it is. So if it costs you, $2,000 to live every single month, you want at the very least $6K to somewhere around $12K before you even think about investing. Because, like we said before, if something happens, you need to have money on the side. If something like a pandemic happens again, you need to have money on the side. If you're forced to move across the country for work, you need to have money ready to do that. If you get kicked out of your job, you need to have money to live off of. This is extremely, extremely important. Now, let's go on to baby step number 4, which is going to be save and invest. I'm just not even going to write save. I hate that S word. We're going to write invest 15% of your income. And he's going to say, to do it for your retirement. So let's just say if you want to do like an IRA, what I highly recommend is to do something like a Roth IRA because it's going to be tax-free up until, I think the max that you can put in now is somewhere around $6,000. But start to save 15% of your income towards your retirement. For me, this is going to be completely different, guys, because you guys, you might have kids, you might have people to take care of, you might live in a very expensive part of the country, which tends to happen a lot. But for me, I would not be looking at 15%. Personally, in my opinion, 15% is not aggressive enough. If you're 20 years old, 25 years old, 15% is okay. If you're 30, 35, 40, you need to minimally be saving and investing 30% of your income. Realistically, I would like to say 50% of your income, which sounds very hard. And if you have kids, it is very hard. But if you think about it, like if you make $100,000 a year with your household, being able to live off of 50 grand a year after taxes should not be that tough. It really shouldn't, especially if you're not unnecessarily spending, you're not doing dumb things with your money. Living off 50 grand a year if you're making 100 should not be that hard. If your household's making 50 grand a year, living off 25 is pretty tough. And at that point, then you should probably only, save 15% towards retirement. But the biggest thing is just because you make more money in life doesn't mean that you have to spend more money in life. right? Right now, my company is going to make about 330 grand this year. I personally, as myself, as an employee of the company, will probably make about 120 grand, and I live off of 1,100 bucks a month, 1,200 bucks a month, because like I talked about in that in the other video I did, I have no debt. Like I have no debt at all except for a car that I'm like really don't want to have this debt on. But that's it. And that's just because my rate is so low. But you need to invest. And we're going to talk about how to invest this money. Even though I'm not a financial advisor, it's just what I do. We're going to talk about how I invest this money later on in this video. So that's baby step number 4. His baby step number 5 is going to be, and this is going to be all up to you guys, save for child's college fund. Now, like I said, this is all up to you. If you plan to have kids, then you might want to save up for their college fund. And even if it's not going to be a college fund, have it be a business fund, have it be an entrepreneur fund, have it be, here's a car, or down payment for a house, or your wedding. If I was planning to have kids, which I'm personally not, if I was, I would be saving at least 15% for that, or 10% for that. So like I said before, if you have kids and you can't save 50%, maybe do 15% for your retirement, 15% for your children's college fund, or maybe 20% to invest in long-term retirement, and something like 10% for your children's college fund. But I do think college fund is important because, like I said, even if they're not going to go to college, because like not a lot of people are going to college nowadays, and even less are actually graduating from college, but so that they have something when they get older to do something with. So that's cool. If you don't have kids, like maybe I'll pay for like my brother's kids to go to college or something like that. That would be really cool. But for him, it's number 5 is going to be save for college. Number 6 is going to be, and I do not agree with this, pay off your house. I don't agree with it. I don't really think you should be paying off your personal house. I'm not talking about like, maybe a rental property. I'm talking about your personal house. I don't really think that it's beneficial. I've talked about it before, but the way that I see it is like, if I can just borrow at a very, very low rate to own a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $800,000 property, why would I not do that? Because I can actually leverage all of that money into the stock market. Like, let's just say, for instance, that you end up, your house costs $200,000. Let's just say $300,000. So your house costs 300 grand. And instead of paying all of that off, if you had the cash straight up, which not many people do, but if you had the cash and you're like, hey, I'm either going to pay off my house, like let's say somebody died in your family, got left inheritance, I'm either going to pay off the house or I'm going to invest that in even the S&P 500. With $300,000, you could pretty easily get a 10% return per year, and that is going to be $30,000 per year that you're going to end up making just from that. And then within 10 years, you pay your house off for free, because you've doubled your money, and now you still have that 300 grand and your house is completely paid off. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with number 6 personally, but for some people, like I said before, if it makes you feel better, go ahead and do it. There's nothing stopping you. Now, number 7, which he talks about, is just to actually at that point start to build your wealth, start to get a little bit more aggressive with your investments, and then at that point give it back, because we're all going to freaking die. And what's the point of having a ton of money just to die with? The point, especially in my opinion, is to make as much money as you possibly can first to take care of you, then to take care of your kids and your family, then to take care of other people who can't, who don't have the ability to take care of themselves, and to donate. So for me, that's extremely important as well. But let's talk about my baby steps, and we're going to talk about how I would kind of personally mess with these a bit. So number 1, I agree with him. I would just say, get $1,000 as fast as you can. A lot of people are like, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You can just go ahead. You can go sign up for Uber Eats. You can borrow somebody's car. You can go ahead and drive, and you can make Uber Eats and do $1,000 in a weekend. Like I've done this. When I started this channel a year and a half ago, I did like an Uber Eats stock market challenge where I drove Uber Eats for 3 months. I made somewhere around like 9 grand, and then I invested that money. It's not hard. You just have to work. Don't tell me you can't make $1,000. It's just a lie. You're just not motivated enough. And I say that from the bottom of my heart in the nicest way possible. My second thing would be to pay off any debt that you have. So I would say personally, pay off debt with like 7% APR or higher. So if it has a 7% APR or higher than that, I would pay that off as soon as possible, because let's say that you're not going to be a trader. Because if you're a trader, don't expect to make any money trading stocks or options for the first like 3 years. If you're going to invest long term, you're going to be looking at maybe making about 12 to 15% return per year. If you think about it this way, 7% is guaranteed. You're guaranteed making 7% by paying that debt off minimum. If your APR is something like 12%, you're going to automatically make 12% untaxed per year. So that's really like a 15% return per year that you're instantly getting just paying off your debt. So I would say any debt that is above 7%, get rid of that as soon as humanly possible. Then number 3, I would say at this point, like he said before, build up a oh crap fund. Build we'll say like 3 months rent. I think 3 months is more than fine. If you want to do 5, do it up. But I think that one of the most important things right now that you need to be focusing on is just lowering how much money you blow every single month on just dumb stuff. I'm included. I still need to work on that. But building up 3 to 6 months rent, I do agree. It's really important because at the end of the day, if you want to make a career change, if you want to go after a business, if you want to start a company, you have the backing to do that and you don't have to worry about bills. Now, as far as number 4, kind of like what we spoke about, invest. So I'm just going to put retirement. And for me, I would really try to live off of 50% of your income. Make it a game. Honestly, play with your spouse. Say, let's see how little money we can make, or not make, you want to make a lot, how little money we can spend. The more aggressive that you are, the quicker you can retire. It's as simple as that. And we're going to do some math in another video talking about that, how fast you can. Then once I said for college, I don't plan to have kids. So I'm really not going to end up doing anything as far as a college fund or retirement. I'm going to actually try to live off of, because I am making a lot of money, I'm going to try to live off of 90 or 10% of my income and just invest 90%. But if you really want to do that, I would say, college fund for a kid, if they're 18 years old, you could do something like maybe like $7,000 a year or something like that, maybe $5,000 a year, something along the lines like that. And then as far as your heavy investments, I wouldn't pay off the house. For personally, I'd say don't pay the house. Don't pay house. Personally, if you really want to, do it up, because I think that's a great way to leverage your money for better return. But as far as your actual building wealth, this is where I really want to do this. So what I would be doing is, if you want to take a more active approach, I would be saying to sell some cash secured puts on stocks that you love. If you guys don't know how to sell cash secured puts, I do have a video on this channel. I highly recommend you check it out. You can just go to the channel, or you can type in on Google my name, Peter DiCarlo, sell puts. If you're somebody, this is how Warren Buffett started. It's how Warren Buffett made a majority of his money, selling cash secured puts. I do that each and every single week. It literally takes me 20 minutes a week, and I can usually get about 1 to 2% return per week, which is anywhere between a 50 to 100% return per year. But what you have to realize is 50% is a very good return. You can get that, but because it's short-term capital gains, the market's going to take about, the taxes, government's going to take about 30% of that. So you're really only going to make like 29% return per year, but still really well. So I would take some of your money and do some puts, sell some cash secured puts if you want to. The other thing I would do is to put some money in an index fund, or actually, no, even before that, I would put some money in a Roth. I'd put some money in a Roth IRA, because that's going to be untaxed up to about $6,000 per year you can put in. So I'd say Roth IRA. Then from there, I would say something like a good ETF or a mutual fund. So something like VTI, VOO, SPY, QILD. And then from there, if you really want, you could do something like real estate, start buying property. But I wouldn't go buying property at first, right? For me, well, I think one of the best things I've ever done, and one of the biggest mistakes I ever did, was as soon as I got some money, I went and bought a piece of real estate. And it made me realize that things are a lot tougher when you buy a piece of real estate, because everything breaks and you need way more money than you really think that you need. So I really wouldn't go doing that till you have at least 50, 60, 70, 100 grand in the bank sitting around with all your debt paid off, so that if crap hits the fan, you can go ahead and pay for it as fast as you possibly can. Guys, I hope this video helps. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what type of videos you guys want me to check out and you guys want me to make. Guys, thank you for all the support. I'll see you next time. Peace.